All right, so I'm just gonna show you kind of what we're looking at right here. So on my side imaging, you see these walls of bait, threadfin shad, small threadfin shad, and the shad is working through, or the bait is working through these channels, and strolling is just a really effective way to catch them. Also the Spinbait, but there doesn't have to be bait necessarily to use these baits. You can also catch them, you know, just on structure, whether you're in 9, 10 feet or 30 feet of water, keeping that bait above the structure and getting those fish to react. We're catching Magnums. All right guys, we are out here having some fun today, me and my boy CJ, and we are showing you 4 baits that we've been using for forward-facing sonar that are maybe a little bit under the radar. You don't have to go small if you're shaking a minnow. That is a Raid Superfish Roller, 6.5 inches long. Catches bigs. A Superfish Roller. Good? Yep. Yeah, so we're just out here in this little ditch, shallow ditch, and there's a bunch of bait. And what's nice about this spot is you've got post-spawn fish just kind of cycling through here. The food's here. Everything's here feeding, right? You got the bass, catfish, all kinds of stuff. And we're just taking this Raid Superfish Roller, a little bit bigger profile, trying to target those bigger fish on the screen. We're just live scoping them, you know, keeping that bigger profile strolling bait up above them. You know, this bait looks intimidating. Like when you look at it, it's 6.5 inches long. But we're throwing it on this Raid spin boarder, 6'5", but it's medium, so it has a little bit more backbone. I can still get that bait to roll really nice, but also when I hook a big one like that 8 or 9 pounder, I still have control of that fish. So sweet setup. It looks really nice. It's really comfortable to fish. And big ones are eating this roller. You've seen this all over social media and stuff, Bait Pop. I've been using it for about a year now. We're carrying the shop, all the best colors. And honestly, guys, not only can you see this a little bit better on your forward-facing sonar, but it also adds some scent and helps them hold on to it a little bit better. And you can color match the colors to kind of what you're fishing. Monkey milk, sick. Sweet. Do a Spinbait 90, live scoping it. Kind of strolling it, shaking it, just keeping it above the fish. A little sneaky deal. Little bear back.
No, that.
Oh no! Loaded right there. No. So little sneaky one is a bait that's been around for a while. It's a Spinbait. We've had it for years. Typically, you know, I throw it like for smallmouth on a spinning rod or open water. But lately with forward-facing sonar, I've been kind of experimenting And sometimes when you can't get them to react to a jerkbait, you want something a little bit more subtle. I've been going to that Spinbait. Throwing the 90 on casting gear. I can throw it on 12-pound line. I can watch it. It shows up really good on my screen. And depth control is huge with this thing. So it sinks real good, but I can watch it on my screen and just roll it over those fish. And it gives it a super natural rolling action actually, and shimmy as this bait swims through. As a hard bait with forward-facing sonar, you probably already have one in your box. Time to get them back out. All right, on the fish roller. So we caught some on the super fish roller this morning, some on the hard baits, and it's kind of getting into the afternoon, getting a little bit tougher. We downsized to that smaller bait and getting some bites. Sweet, so much fun. Heck yeah. So when I'm rigging this thing, obviously I just want to make sure it's super straight. That way I get a perfect rolling action. So I just line it up right in the center. They've got a little kind of pointed place where you can kind of start your hook and just slowly work this bait on there. They have these notches on the back, so you can kind of see your hook placement once you kind of get it where you want it. Slide that bitch up on there, nice and straight. There you go, minnow shaking. So I'm throwing the Duo Bay Ruf Seek. So basically it's a heavy sinking sub walker. With what we're doing today, catching these fish on forward facing sonar, suspended over, structure or bait. This is something that gets down to them quick. It's super erratic, but I can still maintain, what I'm doing and it doesn't blow out. If you just want to add something a little bit more erratic, super fast, maybe on some of those herring lakes or somewhere where you really got to go fast to trigger those bites, this one's going to play. We are going to break down all the gear that we used today. Again, today we just came out here to have some fun. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Me and CJ definitely did, catching some big ones on forward facing sonar, using all kinds of different baits. And we're going to show you the 4 baits that we used today for targeting these fish. All right, so we're gonna break down the hard baits first. There's not a lot of hard baits that are forward-facing sonar friendly. These are 2 that are quickly becoming staples into our arsenal. First is a Spinbait, right? Like I said earlier, everyone has a Spinbait in their box. What's really neat about this bait, when I'm fishing on forward-facing sonar, I can control this bait. The sink rate of it, I can control it and keep it above those fish, and it's super enjoyable to fish because I don't lose it too often. Those fish get behind it and I can really just track that bait straight, and it really does trigger a lot of bites. Where guys are throwing a rip bait or a jerk bait and it's real aggressive, sometimes those fish will get on that, but sometimes it's too much. And today it was too much, and we went to that Spinbait and just kind of slow rolled it above those fish and got those fish to bite. So with strolling being so popular, we're looking for that roll side to side action. And this bait, the Duo Realis Spinbait, naturally has that side to side rolling action in a hard bait. Another one, this one is fairly new to us, so we're still kind of learning about it, see where it's gonna shine. This is the Duo Bay Ruf Seek. So this is a fast sinking, subsurface, erratic walker. It darts, it cuts, it does a bunch of crazy stuff, and then you can kill it and it will shimmy at a really fast rate. So this is the heavyweight model. So we're fishing anywhere between 15 and 20 feet, making long casts, and I was just burning this bait. So when I would find shad balls and active fish trying, you know, chasing bait, I would go to this so I could just burn it through there and get those fish to react. I know on herring lakes, they love super, super fast burn stuff. It might shine there. For those of you guys that like those super fast moving baits, erratic, I think this one's gonna be for you. So on the casting gear, I just went with the Spinbait. I kept it on my jerkbait setup. So this is the jerkbait rod that I use day in, day out. This is just Megabass P5 110 Special. Daiwa 12-pound sunline fluorocarbon, and that Realis Spinbait. Basically just my jerkbait rod, and again, that's the 90s, so a little bit heavier, a little bit beefier, can get away with this casting gear. On the Bay Ruf Seek, again, pretty heavier bait, so I went with a little bit bigger stick. I went with utility player, so 7'3" Steez, and then Steez A, and that's 16-pound sunline sniper. All right, now into my bread and butter. We caught some strolling today on the Raid plastics. So this bait right here, man, when it first came out, I was so excited to get my hands on it. And now finally have some seat time, have caught some big ones on it. I'm really, really loving this bait, and that is the Raid Super Fish Roller. So it's 6.5 inches long. It's a big bait, but what's really nice about it is it doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't have any salt. It's a floating plastic, so I'm not adding too much weight to the weight I'm already adding in my jig head. So this bait has an air pocket inside. So what that allows us to do is to really get a rolling action compared to some of the other strolling baits that will roll nicely, but this one really gets on its sides and just creates a really nice action. So what's nice about this deal is you kind of get a 1-2 punch. You get it in a 6.5 inch and a 5 inch. So if you want that bigger profile, we're fishing around big ones today, so I went with the 6.5. But sometimes, you know, you fish around smaller forage, the same wide rolling head action, but in the 5 inch model. This bait right here kind of played pickup for us. Once that sun got high, it got a little tougher. The bait kind of spread out, got a little deeper. We went to the Raid 4-inch fish roller. And man, that is just when it gets tough. This bait doesn't have a crazy rolling action. It's super subtle, real tight, looks just like a minnow or a bait fish. And we put it in front of a few today, man. You can see that one's chewed up. So kind of finessey. Once they stop biting that big one, I downsized to that. A lot lighter rolling, and got some extra bites. On the 6.5 inch, I went with the Raid Spin Boarder. So this is quickly becoming my bigger strolling bait rod. It's a 6'5" medium, so it has that backbone to be able to get away with some of this bigger stuff, bigger leaders. I caught an almost 9-pounder today on it, and felt fully in control. So 6'5" medium. That is the Raid Spin Boarder. Of course, Daiwa exists 3000. We're going with the Sunline AMZ braid. Yeah, man, you can't beat that. So pretty. Okay, and last but not least, I went with the Megabass Destroyer P5 Flyssa. I already have this rod in my arsenal for a lot of different things, you know, hair jig, whatever, but it is quickly becoming a staple for, I like it when it gets windy. So today in the afternoon, we had some wind, and I can really take that light bait with it being 7'6" and whip it through that wind and still be able to make my shaking motion to get that bait to perform correctly. Reel, just Daiwa Tatula 3000, and same braid on there, but 10-pound leader on both of these today. I will go up to like 16 sometimes when I'm strolling, and I'll go all the way down to 5 or 6. It just depends on, you know, what you're targeting and how you're doing it. All right, guys, that is a wrap. Me and CJ had a great time out here catching some big ones, filming today for you guys. Hopefully you can learn something from this video and apply some of these baits into your arsenal, and hopefully put some big ones in the boat for you like it did for us. Catch you guys later.